Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday here in the UAE, which is our Sunday, and this will probably be the last one of these that I do because I think I've learned that I have a face for radio as opposed to for broadcast, which is so much of our lives these days is about the representation of the self, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But I'm here to talk to you about my birthday fundraiser for Mental Health Research UK. But before I do that, I wanted to just reflect on how I'm feeling. So I went to bed at around 5:30 a.m. last night and woke up just shy of 8 a.m. And I had all these terrible nightmares, having looked at flights and destinations and airport closures, and I started to think about my family and if I'd ever see them again. And I started to feel incredibly claustrophobic. My heart began thumping at the thought of my 60-plus-year-old father still working in an NHS hospital and wanting to somehow be with him, but knowing that it probably isn't the best idea right now to be doing that. My days of isolation, which are nearing a month, I've left the house a couple of times to go to the supermarket once, which was the most terrifying experience for me, and to the pharmacy to stock up on a couple of masks and sanitizer and whatnot, having been misinformed that my sanitizer was toxic. I threw it all in the trash and started again, but my sanitizer wasn't toxic. That's just part of the fake news circuit that keeps on circulating. And I think that as I reflect on this moment, I start to feel that the world is going through a particular kind of shared depression. And that depression is one that may be affecting people who have never experienced such symptoms. I wake up every day and I sit in front of my computer to work as if I would always do so. And everything is much slower, but yet I feel like everybody else around me is trying to go so much faster to prove themselves in an age of furloughing, of staff layoffs, where people are concerned with validating their sense of identity. And that is, of course, a terrifying thing that is affecting many people, especially those with large families, but just simply anybody who is afraid for their livelihood. And those fears and anxieties are, I believe, becoming more and more entrenched in our being. Personally, this idea of isolation has led me to really close myself off from friends and family, actually. Although we are advised to try and stay connected to loved ones, I spent the first 2 weeks completely unable to communicate with anyone. And it wasn't until a few days ago that I started to find online videos to exercise without any equipment, because I couldn't attain any because it had all been sold out. And that again is a privilege, wanting and being able to, for example, acquire equipment. And also, or even having the internet is a privilege, right? Or a computer at this moment. And I started to feel a little bit better. I started to do and engage in online therapy, which has been okay, although not as suturing as one would hope that because the social interaction of a being is very different. But doing therapy made me realize that I have to engage with the world, and I did my first 2 Zoom meetings the last couple of days, one with a colleague that worked with me on an exhibition, which is now temporarily or potentially not temporarily postponed, but we talked not about the work we'd done, but about sourdough bread, and that really warmed my heart to be able to talk about something very quotidian and everyday. And yesterday I spoke with a dear friend in London who reassured me that we are finding our collective humanity. So on the note of finding collective humanity, I wanted to use my birthday which is on April 15th, as a moment to think about our collective humanity. And I have for many years used my birthday as a moment to raise funds for causes, and specifically causes associated with mental health. This year I'm supporting Mental Health Research UK, and I am raising funds for this charity because it is the only charity in the United Kingdom focused specifically on research. Last year I focused on advocacy and supported the Mental Health Foundation, which I'm wearing their green pin here, to support good mental health for all. But there is more to be done on the research front, and that is happening in small doses everywhere in the world, but governments do not necessarily invest as much into mental health research as they do into other diseases. But I do think that when you wake up in the morning, or you're trying to work, and all you see all you can do is flip between your work email and the news, and you hear about how we're entering into a Great Depression, your heart just starts to palpitate, and you start to quite simply freak out. And then you see a 54-year-old minister in Germany, a wealthy country that has created many fantastic initiatives in response to the COVID-19 virus, taking his life. But we have to think about this moment as one of reducing stigma. And that stigma is something that is becoming also pervasive and causing different kinds of mental disturbance, especially to persons of Asian descent, or people who have traveled, or people who are in the healthcare industry. And I can list anecdotes of people who are, for example, of Asian descent, who are 3rd or 4th generation American or British, who have been violently attacked, or verbally or physically, because of their race. And that's something that we have to keep an eye on, because we are social creatures that depend on each other and the collective will of humanity to stay alive. But, generally speaking, as I, continue to research something that I've been very focused on my whole life, really, because of my own experiences with seeing people suffer through mental health trauma, is that the fact that there are striking rates of anxiety and depression in healthcare workers, for example, and that is terrifying to think of when you know that they are the people that are at the front lines who are saving our lives. Or if you read that there is a mental health crisis pending with depression, anxiety, and stress disorders, married couples who are no longer able to even share the same space, and domestic violence becoming on the rise because people are confined and unable to deal with that. And I'm not certain if this is something that is focused on particular territories or countries, but in India today, to read that depression and anxiety go viral, it feels very uncomfortable to hear the word viral used in this context, because depression and anxiety are long-standing things that have existed for literally centuries. As the World Health Organization's figures attest, or is that every 40 seconds we lose a life due to someone not receiving the care or support that they need. And, there are continued reports about how the lockdown is affecting people's lives. And again, doctors and nurses are at their limits. We are afraid. Social isolation is not what we were made for or built for. Yes, I did have academics, professors, that there was nothing more joyous to them than to be able to stay at home with their books and write their next manuscript. But that did not mean that they were not social beings and that they did not go out for a walk or engage with the world. But there is support. Even if you go on Facebook, you'll find a COVID-19 information center that gives you advice and guidance on what to do right now, and also helplines to people such as the Samaritans who, if you're feeling in great need or dire need, can support you. And I also want to commend the UAE government for launching a national campaign for mental support, which is entirely online, which is about reassuring people, supporting people, and allowing people a voice. And this is by the National Program for Happiness and Well-being, which I think is incredible that a country of this size is able to have such an initiative. So to go back to the root cause of this conversation is that I have been trying to raise some funds for Mental Health Research UK. I have a target of £10,000, which I feel is paltry compared to what it is that people need. Now, I've recently found out that people in many countries around the world aren't able to donate through Facebook fundraisers or to donate money to charities online, and that is totally understandable. Different countries have different rules and regulations, but if you can donate, if you live in a country that allows you to donate, you simply have to go to, here is the URL, or you can search on Facebook, Omar's Birthday Fundraiser for Mental Health Research UK, or if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you can find the fundraiser on my page, and all you have to do is click donate. There you'll be asked to your amount you wish to donate, and you can choose to pay via PayPal or another payment method. And you can make your donation public or only to your friends or only for yourself, so that it's completely private, so that nobody knows if you feel uncomfortable with letting people know. But also, if you cannot donate for any reason, whether you don't have any money to do so at this moment, you can always support the cause by sharing it on your Facebook wall. Also, if you have friends and family abroad who live in countries where they can donate, you can encourage them to donate on your behalf, for example. I also have posted a link on my Instagram. So if you look at my Instagram, there is a link there to the fundraiser, which is entirely public. You don't have to necessarily be my friend on Facebook to be able to support it. And I really have gone on now, but the purpose and point of this is to really ask you to think of our collective humanity and what we can do to help each other get better. And you may not be affected by mental health personally, but there are certainly people that are, an incredible amount. As I articulated, 800,000 people a year take their own lives due to mental health issues such as depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and so forth. And we really do need to invest in research. And this is not something that I take lightly. I take I carry this weight of great responsibility, and I would implore you to donate, whether it's $5 or $5,000. If you are a moneyed person who can no longer go on vacation because of COVID-19, think about rerouting that money to different charities. Of course, it does not have to be this particular mental health charity. There are many other out there, but I'm focusing this year on research because I believe that that is one of the most underfunded areas in the mental health field. So thank you so much for your time if you've made it that far. I hope I didn't bore anyone, but I sincerely hope that through a collective effort, we can all make this a better world. And that does not only mean donating to causes, but also being more human to each other. And that means reaching out to people, letting them know you love them, either formally or informally, appreciating your staff and your colleagues for the hard work that they do during this difficult time. We are all in this together, and I am very, very honored to be able to think of the potential that we can do as a collective, and I hope that you'll support me in this cause, and I am also happy to support others in their causes. Thank you so much.